let's quiet the inner critic and the internal mental static and get into creative flow and do a quick 10-minute writing exercise. I'm Victoria.
And I'm Ryan.
And this is Struggle is Real. Welcome, Ryan, to the show. It's so good to have you. Ryan is a published author. He wrote memoir, which is a really difficult thing to do, trust me. And Ryan brought a topic today that he would like to write about, talk about. So what is it, Ryan?
We're going to talk about a couple things. So first off, we're going to talk about what it was like for me to write this book. You know, what the you mentioned the word struggle, but that's very apropos because what a struggle it was for me to construct this book. You know, write it from scratch, rewrite, and get it to the point where I was ready to even pitch it to a publisher and then get it published. But also like why that I felt the need to write this book. Like not so much that I wanted to, but that like I really had to write it. So those are the main topics we're going to talk about.
Okay, that's a spoiler alert. We will talk about it more after we do this exercise. And for the purpose of this show, we have two prompts, specific concrete questions. And one of them is Ryan's book brought me back to my childhood. And I wanted to ask you, describe the most distinctive kitchen or a dining area that you had meals as a child. And the other question and other alternative is that Ryan came up with.
Yeah, to write about the baseball stadium that I most had the fondest memories of as a child.
That's great.
That's favorite one.
That's awesome. We can choose from because I have no idea about baseball. So you have 10 minutes. We all have 10 minutes, and we'll come back and talk about whatever comes up. Okay, you ready? You need paper?
Yeah.
Okay, here you go. And I'm gonna put a timer on.
Okay.
We're ready to go.
Okay. How we doing?
We have 1 minute, 23 seconds. You're good. And the time is up.
Finish this sentence.
Yes.
Okay.
I love it. I love it. I wrote the whole paper, the entire page. Okay. One thing I'm going to say, it's like big reveal why I decided to start doing this and why we're doing is that I've been researching in neuroscience and psychology. I'm not a neuroscientist, but there's so many like peer-reviewed papers and I'm able to read, right? Apparently when people, creatives are in anxiety or in a creative paralysis like state, block, paralysis sounds too much, the brain functions from bottom up. So the bottom layer of the thoughts are anxious thoughts, all the negative thoughts, future and the past. But if you give the specific order, something happens, like it's called down effect. And because brain has like a certain limited energy, like we all have limited energy as human beings, they're all 100% of the frontal cortex focus has to go onto the specific task. So the rest of the, the whole congregation of anxious thoughts have to quiet. So this is one of the theories, and this is one of the things that I find it very fascinating and useful, and this is why I'm doing this with my friends and colleagues or other creatives who want to join us to write. And now, Ryan, how did it go for you?
It went fine for me. I've done like similar exercises to this.
Mm-hmm.
It has been a little while since I've done something like this, but yeah, I like the free writing aspect of it. Like you're talking about how just this idea of like just write for 10 minutes, like don't think, just pick up the pen, start writing. Gave a prompt, so I was able to like focus in a little bit, on a very specific topic, like favorite baseball stadium I had going up. So I wrote about Camden Yards. I grew up in Rockville in the DC suburbs, but like less than an hour from Camden Yards in Baltimore. And I just wrote for like 10 minutes about that, and I was able to just lots of memories of that stadium. Went to tons of games growing up there, and that was like they opened it up when I was in middle school, and so that was like a good chunk of my adolescence. Going to those games, and so I had a lot of memories that kind of flowed back, and it was it's a fun activity to do, and like it's an interesting one that you that you're doing with this series too, because it's one that was very apropos for when I constructed my memoir. That's the way that I did the first draft, is I just came in and I set a few hours a week, a couple times a week, and I was like, I'm just gonna like write whatever comes to mind is what I'm gonna write about. And that I obviously had a topic in mind already. I knew about what year I was going to write about, but I knew obviously it's a long time. The entire book encompasses about 10 months. And so just like whatever memory I had that needed to get out of my head at that point, that was what I wrote. And I did not stop. I did not do any self-editing. I just kind of wrote for roughly 2 hours.
That's what I was going to ask you. How did this idea came up to you? And first of all, congratulations. You started, you wrote, you finished, and you published a book. This is incredible. This is a big accomplishment. I hope you understand how big it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yes, it's big deal, and also it's a memoir. For me, if you tell me to write a memoir, my brain will be like, error, error, error. Where do we start, right? How was your process? Like, was it linear? What did you do if you experienced a challenge? What was the challenge for you? What did your mind was trying to tell you?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge, I mean, there were several challenges, but like a big one was like, because this memoir it's two stories in one. It's the story about this Baltimore Orioles team that almost became the first team in baseball history to go from worst to first in one season. Telling the story of this historic team, so that's like kind of a reporting story and just like a historical story. But at the same time, I'm also telling it through the lens of, myself at that age, being a fifth grader, and then a sixth grader as the season starts to end. So it's a story of this team, but told through that lens and figuring out, the big challenge then was figuring out how to blend the two stories. So it's the story of this team, but it's also my story as things changed a lot, in my life during that year, going from, pretty careless elementary school, public school kid to like suddenly being sent off to a brand new private school by the end of the school year. Amid a lot of other changes in my life, grandmother getting diagnosed with terminal illness and these anxiety disorders hitting, and a number of other things, and of course adolescence starting at the same time. So that alone is a story worth telling, and that's the beginning of my adolescence there, and like I was saying, a very difficult year in my life. That alone, that's the memoir part, right? But it's like also the same time that I was living this life, I was also experiencing following this team as my hometown team and team that we really latched onto, and saw a lot of, I don't think I picked it up at the time, but like I know as I did some rewrites, like saw a lot of myself and my friends in that team and some of the players. And so trying to figure out, like I was saying, the big challenge was trying to piece that together into one cohesive narrative of the book, and like flowing from different points in the chapters, like talking about me to talking about the Orioles and back and forth without losing readers, without confusing readers.
Okay, so did you take breaks when you were writing? How, like, the process, for example, when you started, did you continue daily writing every day? Did you have a certain schedule, or did you have to take a break, like a week or a month? I don't know.
Yeah.
How did it flow for you?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had a schedule in the sense that I started this during COVID, and at the same time that I joined our DC Writers Salon here. And so I was coming in pretty regularly for 2-3 years, was coming in about twice a week. Almost never more than that, just for each of our writing sessions are like 2 hours, and so would just limit my writing to just those sessions. Like I would say like 95 to 98% of the book was written, edited, etc. In this salon. I did very, very little at home. So this space became like a real kind of refuge in that way. But no, I certainly wasn't writing every day. It was really only a couple days a week up until I got to the point where I was like getting ready to publish, and then had real deadlines, from the publisher to meet, and then it was a little bit more often to make sure I met those deadlines. But as far as like constructing, doing the original draft and the rewrites, editing, incorporating the research, even doing some extra research, just like little by little, and that's why it took the better part of like 3 years for me to do this.
Yeah, well, respect. 3 years, it's a big commitment. And I love real, true stories, raw stories. I think we all have so many, like we're all individuals, have so many stories, but they're so different. And this is the book. I'm gonna put in the caption, and it's worth reading. It's a true story. It's a coming of age story. Can you say that?
I'd say it's definitely
coming of age.
It's
story.
early. It's very early adolescence. So.
Oh God, it was difficult. It was rough.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally like 10, 11-year-olds. There are some very rough scenes in there.
Okay.
It is not a children's book, even though it's centered on a child. Yeah, I've had people ask me that too. It's like, no.
Yeah, this is not a children's show either. Right. There might be things said that it's on you. Right. If your kid is listening, I don't think.
There's quite a bit of profanity in the book, because that is how we talked as 5th and 6th graders, like even younger than that. So. That's a memoir, write the characters and write myself as we were. But it is, yeah, there's a lot, like, to get back to your point, there's a lot of rough scenes. It is a book about adolescence, and the beginning of adolescence is also a book about, like, facing adversity. But at the same time, there's also, I think, almost refuge for the reader in reading about this miraculous team. This truly was like a team that's been largely forgotten by baseball history because a lot of different factors, but they legitimately almost became the first team ever to go from worst in their division or league one year to first the next. That would have been the first time in 120 years. So while we were following this in real time back in 1989, it was a big deal. And I try to bring that to life in this book.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you for bringing the truthfulness and honesty and also baseball topic, because I love listening to different people who have different favorite topics to talk about, because I'm so far removed from baseball. It's great. I hope someone out there heard very helpful story for them that can give them some hope that it's possible to get things started and finished, and never give up on your dream.
Yeah, like you said, your dream, right? I mean, this was something that I had this intrinsic drive to do it. Like it was, as far as like why I did this book, it wasn't like I necessarily wanted to do this, but I mean, I had the first time I had the idea that I can remember was like in 2006, and then I started writing it during the recession. I put it down because I started as a piece of fiction and it didn't really work for me that way. And then it was over 10 years again until COVID before I picked it up. But it was like something that was always on my mind, and I always thought I would do it. And eventually was able to do it. So like I didn't give up on it. You talk about perseverance, and then once I got moving, once I started to like write early drafts during COVID, then it just kind of took on a life of on its own. And, it became something like I knew I was going to write to completion. The only question in my mind then was like, will I try to get this published, and like will anybody publish it, because I was never going to do the self-publishing route. But yeah, I mean, to your point, like I think if it's enough in your heart and you really want to do it, especially if you have that like really deep intrinsic drive, that like I would not let anybody or anything get in your way, because I think I've proven, and others have too, that it can be done.
Yeah. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for being with yourself and with us, and to follow your bliss, like Joe Campbell says, and the doors will open where you didn't know there was.